Now let's take a look at expanding the Science DMZ deployment at an institution beyond a single Science DMZ. So instead of taking one Science DMZ and scaling out the number of projects that are deployed within that Science DMZ, we can do it another way, which is to say we're going to deploy a set of Science DMZs and customize those Science DMZs for the projects that live within them. So if we look at this diagram here, we have sort of a project A and a project B and a project C. Projects A and B look very similar. They're small data transfer nodes, individual data transfer nodes. They may be a single PI or a single research group collaborating, say, with a remote institution or accessing the resources at a large HPC facility that's on a different campus. But then building C looks like a much bigger project. So maybe they have a big data repository, maybe they're doing some analysis of data that they ingest from a remote instrument, something like that. But it's useful to be able to separate these both in terms of operational fate sharing and also in terms of security fate sharing by simply deploying separate Science DMZs for each of the major projects. Now, those could be all located in a single central data center. They could also be located around the campus and pulled back to the border router home run over dark fiber. It all depends on what makes sense for the IT support model of the institution. And the other thing to remember is by making additional Science DMZs, it helps out the network engineering group that's designing and building those Science DMZs. So one of the things that often happens early on is the engineering group they'll build it, and they'll deploy it, and it's great. And you get users on it, and it's all in production now, and now you need to go test something. Maybe it's a new version of router code or a new set of policies or something like that, and you can't experiment on the production infrastructure anymore. So it's very useful to have a development DMZ that's available for use by the network engineering group that's running the infrastructure so that they can experiment before they have to go and make changes in production. So it's really useful then to be able to use the modularity of the Science DMZ to in fact replicate the Science DMZ itself in several different forms depending on the purpose for which it's deployed.